Boris Johnson has warned the European Union issuing threats against the UK amid an ongoing row over fishing rights could put a lucrative and vital deal on financial services in danger. France has ramped up Brexit tensions by warning it will block an EU financial services deal with the UK unless the Prime Minister grants the bloc more access to British waters. Emmanuel Macron's government has lashed out at Britain and accused it of deliberately failing to issue licenses to French fisheries. But Downing Street has furiously hit back at the threats, as post-Brexit tensions between the sides again edge nearer to exploding. Mr. Johnson's official spokesman warned, "We're taking a consistent, evidence-based approach to licensing EU vessels using information supplied by the European Commission." This is another example of the EU issuing threats at any sign of difficulties instead of using the mechanisms of our new treaty to solve problems. We have always been clear that an agreement on financial services is in the best interest of both sides. Britain's lucrative financial services sector was largely cut off from the EU following the end of the agreed transition period with the EU, which came to an end late on December 31. The UK and EU agreed a Memorandum of Understanding (MoU) in March that set out the terms for future financial services interaction between the two sides. However, the MoU must be signed by all remaining 27 remaining EU member states before it can be implemented, a process that is yet to get underway. Last month, France warned it would withhold authorization for the financial sector if Britain did not respect post-Brexit agreements on fishing. (10:30 a.m. update. Shame on you, Brussels. EU blocks life-saving cancer drugs from UK under post-Brexit rules. Life-saving cancer medication is to be denied to patients living in parts of the UK as a result of post-Brexit red tape imposed by Brussels in a worrying sign of things to come. Britain's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency (MHRA) last week approved osimertinib B, brand name Tagrisso, for patients with early-stage lung cancer, in line with a worldwide scheme aimed at fast-tracking promising medicines. The treatment can improve survival rates by as much as 75%, but because it has not yet been given the green light by the European Medicines Agency (EMA), patients living in Northern Ireland are not eligible for it, as things stand. The issue, which relates to the terms of the Northern Ireland Protocol whereby the region remains bound to some EU rules and regulations, was described to The Times by one government insider as being of significant concern, because it has the potential to inflame already heightened tensions within the unionist community. Another added, the people of Northern Ireland must have the same access to the full range of medicines as anyone else in the rest of the UK. Solutions to such challenges need to be found urgently. We have been calling on the EU to show the flexibility and pragmatism required to reach permanent solutions. Margaret Carr, Cancer Research UK's Public Affairs Manager in Northern Ireland, warned the divergence of regulations between GB and NI will potentially have implications for approvals of some new cancer drugs in the future.
The EU will allow Nicola Sturgeon's independent Scotland into the bloc, as Spain will not treat it in the same way as Catalonia, a political scientist has told Express.co.uk. The SNP and Scottish Greens won a total of 72 seats in Holyrood, and the election victory is an urgent issue for one union, the UK, but it may also pose important questions down the line for another, the EU. Both parties stood on a platform of an independent Scotland joining the bloc. However, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon would have to overcome many hurdles before she could secure membership. After winning Indyf II, Scotland would need to apply to join the bloc again under Article 49 of the Treaty of the European Union. New members can only be allowed into the bloc through an unanimous vote from the existing member states, and an independent Scotland would undoubtedly ruffle feathers. Spain is struggling with secession demands itself from Catalonia, so many believe it is unlikely to support a newly independent state. Scotland could be rejected by Brussels due to its current deficit of 7% of GDP, unless it adopted a strict austerity programme from the EU as well as potentially adopting the euro. In an exclusive interview with Express.co.uk, though, Professor Michael Keating dismissed such claims, arguing the EU would welcome Scotland, as it is nothing like Catalonia. Britain can use Brexit to build a digital currency experts believe has the potential to boost the UK's economy by an eye-watering £90 billion, a London-based think tank has said. The City United project has urged Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak to be bold and think big as they look a future in which e-commerce will increasingly take centre stage, emphasising the potential for the UK to get a massive head start on the European Union. China is already pushing ahead with its own plan to launch its central bank digital currency by the time of next year's Beijing Winter Olympics, and last month Mr. Sunak announced the creation of a task force aimed at exploring the possibility of Britain launching what he termed Britcoin. Lord Hannon of Kingsclear, who sits on the City United project's advisory board, said, "State-backed digital currencies are coming, that is not in doubt. The question is whether another country will get there early enough to offer an alternative model to China's, a model more rooted in the principles of privacy and private property." Britain, with its concentration of financial services expertise, its fintech hub and its common law system, is ideally placed to be that country. Brexit trade issues in Northern Ireland are likely to dominate talks between Boris Johnson and Irish counterpart Michael Martin later today. Trade has been impacted by newly introduced checks on goods arriving at ports across the island of Ireland from Great Britain.
But the Northern Ireland Protocol has retained the region as part of the EU for goods checks, which has sparked anger among ports across the island of Ireland from Great Britain who regard it as a border in the Irish Sea and separation from the rest of the UK. There have been several protests throughout Northern Ireland, with some resulting in violence in Belfast last month. Brexiteer Ben Habib has pinned the blame squarely on Boris Johnson prior to today's legal challenge to the Northern Ireland Protocol, describing the controversial mechanism as an affront to the United Kingdom for which the Prime Minister was ultimately responsible. The judicial review is due to get underway at the High Court of Northern Ireland in Belfast this morning, with organisers including former Brexit Party MEP Mr Habib having raised more than £80,000 towards the estimated £150,000 cost via a crowdfunding appeal. Both the Democratic Unionist Party (DUP) and the Ulster Unionist Party (UUP) are backing the case, with stems from their belief that the arrangements, aimed at preventing a hard border on the island of Ireland, instead amount to a border down the Irish Sea which effectively drives a wedge between the region and the rest of the United Kingdom. In a forensic analysis of the situation, Mr Habib told Express.co.uk, "I cannot see how we could lose. Consider the following. The Prime Minister has repeatedly said the protocol avoids a so-called hard border on the island of Ireland, for which read a customs border. At the same time he claims the protocol does not put a border down the Irish Sea and that Northern Ireland remains part of the UK's customs union. So, for the same arrangements which amount to a hard border on the island of Ireland, they amount to no border at all in the Irish Sea.